Good to go? All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1, Tetris. So here we have our semifinals match on at least this side of the bracket between Andy and Huff. Both these players have the capability to roll, and they are both quite terrifying at 29. Start things off. Players got a Tetris on the board. Here's that slight misstep over here for Andy. Not able to quite get the tug spin over there with the T. So he's gonna have to do a little bit of burning. But beautiful delay burn. Nice adjustment as well. No S piece though. There's an S piece. Love it. Get a T piece here. That combination piece is going to work. However, Huff now also in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation. Love to get an I piece over here to the right-hand side. All right, that's going to work. 3 burn lines. Now set up for... No, not just going to burn this all the way out. Love to get a J piece here. Perfect. J piece for the double opens up the well. 85,000 for Huff. Make that 100, or not 100, 91,000. And 144,000 for Andy. Huff able to knock down a Tetris, goes up to 114. So Andy off to a better start here in our opener. But impressive survival over there by Huff so far. Andy now able to knock down a Tetris. Huff working on that left side. Great pieces to fill out the left and has a massively exaggerated double wide. Make a minor adjustment on the T piece. And Andy, small misdrop. Nothing too particularly serious, but it's moments like these that allow Huff to kind of get back into the game. But oh, Andy's gonna set up for a dirty Tetris. Gonna take a double, get Tetris ready, and knocks down a dirty column 3 Tetris. 239 now, 188. Huff was able to close the gap down to only a 50,000 point deficit, and he's able to knock down Tetris. Looks like barely able to get that tuck there. Regardless, we have a relatively close game. Halfway through, we are looking at a mid 500 over here for Huff so far, and potentially a 600 from Andy. If not, we're looking at a pretty high 500 if all things go right. But this is Tetris. Almost nothing goes through. 292 now for Andy. Knocks down another Tetris, goes up to 316. Huff now keeping things under control here. Able to open up the well, now almost down by 100,000 points. Slightly ahead in line, so Andy could potentially have a chance to further the pace advantage. But really tough pieces. Good double L though, and last second adjustment is going to end up creating a long bar dependency, so having to use the I piece to fill that in first, then use the second one to score. And Huff now trying to make some headway here. 317 to now 389. Tetris for Huff, 340. We're at 100 lines now. We're a little bit past 100 lines. There's Tetris for Huff, 387. And Andy, 481. Not sure if, no, I don't think a 600K is possible, but 500K is one Tetris away. There it is, Tetris for Andy. Knock down Tetris. Huff is going to follow suit. Huff is at 434. We have 9 and 10 lines left to a transition. 9 for Huff, the remainder for Andy. Huff's going to knock down a Tetris, can try and grab 2 more with perfect play. Andy knocks down Tetris. He's in the same situation. There's 1 for Huff. Another one would put us at a 500K transition, almost even. Fortunately, these pieces aren't necessarily conducive to go for a no burn in the transition. So Huff is going to transition at 480,000, and he's going to transition at a 597, almost a 600K transition from that. We are at level 19. Huff still trying to get things under control. Not in a position to score Tetrises yet, but it's also not in any real danger here. Would love to get an eyepiece to go right there in column 8. Eyepiece. Oh, double eyepiece right there. Tetris for Huff, able to transfer, or rather burn the well down. Andy able to clean out that delayed burn. There it is, Tetris for Andy, 650 now 517. Huff now going for left well Tetrises on row 3, able to knock one down. Let's see it. Is Huff going to decide to continue to maintain it? Able to burn this out, open up the column 8 yet again, sets up a beautiful overhang for the tuck. Huff now trying to get ideal pieces to build up for a Tetris to potentially get a well transfer. There it is, Tetris for Huff can transfer this over. It's just going to burn this all the way out. 580 to now 711. And Andy's really hitting the gas on this one too. 712 now. And now Huff just trying to start building up some momentum and able to clean things up. We're onto the right-hand side. There it is, Tetris for Huff. Andy knocks down a Tetris, does need to get an eyepiece in column 3, it would seem. And is able to get an eyepiece and a perfect O. Tetris for Huff as well, potentially capitalizing on Andy having to use that eyepiece in the center. Because Andy now waiting on the eyepiece right now. There is Tetris for Andy, 783 to now 727. Huff is starting to come back, but Andy now generating some more separation. Huff's going to knock down a Tetris, avoiding creating a long bar dependency, but would love to get an L or an eyepiece, either or works. Now Huff looking for an eyepiece, and things are getting complicated for both players. Andy having to do some down stacking, Huff also having to do some down stacking. They have the ability to roll. Andy going to go for the J flat placements, opens up access to that hole. Beautiful burn so far. Both players are basically going to get clean at around the same time. Huff opens up the well. Andy knocks down a Tetris, and so does Huff. 803 to now 863. There isn't too much of a line discrepancy between the two, but it's still a really close game, and we still have 29 at play. 807 now for Huff. Beautiful flat burn with the eyepiece right there. Andy having to deal with a hole. Finally able to get access to it. Huff Tetris ready and knocks down a Tetris. Goes up to 842. Andy knocks down Tetris, goes up to 899. Another Tetris for Huff. Back and forth here, separated only by 20,000 points. However, Andy is behind in lines. Huff now goes to level 28. Andy at 934. Tetris for Huff can try and grab 2 more with perfect play. Able to make an adjustment for that O piece there. 914 for Huff. Andy Tetris ready. Huff, beautiful adjustments. Tetris for Andy, 970. Huff knocks down a Tetris, goes up to 949. And level 29 is approaching in 1 line for Huff. Huff is going to go to level 29 at 985. Andy is already at 1,014,000. So now it's up to Huff. How is he going to play 29? Andy goes at 1,025,000, separated by 1 Tetris so far. Huff able to get the stack under control, bringing it down. Andy on the other hand starting to get set up for a Tetris. He's set up for a Tetris. Where's the long bar? And he gets the long bar, knocks down a dagger of a Tetris, goes up to now a 60,000 point lead. Huff on the other hand still trying to get back into control. He's getting to an ideal position to survive. Right now, Andy just going to try and burn this all the way out, looking for the right pieces. And it looks like Andy might be trying to set up for another one. Huff not going to go for a Tetris, going to go for a triple, but he's clean. He's set up, or not set up, but he has the ability to try and build up for Tetrises. Meanwhile, Andy with a couple of misdrops. Things are getting a little bit complicated. Got to get that piece over to the left. Beautiful double right there with the T. Able to throw that piece over just barely. Still trying to stay alive. Look at these burns. However, Huff is about to be Tetris ready. Huff is Tetris ready. And there it is. Tetris for Huff. Closes the gap to now only 20,000 points. Andy now running in some trouble here. But no, Andy's getting set up for a Tetris. He's about to fire back. And there it is. Tetris for Andy. 1.147 to now 1,090,000. Huff now might try and do a little bit more scaling here. Both players just going all cylinders here on 29. Andy's still trying to get another way to potentially score another Tetris, generate some more separation. B59 now, B03. Huff has officially crossed the 1.1 barrier. Andy now still trying to get things under control. Right now, both players just here, just trying to get an ideal board. You can't just go for Tetrises on 29. You need to have a game plan. And right now, Huff still trying to work his way down. Andy just nearly able to get that eyepiece where it needs to go. Oh my gosh, Andy's setting up for a center well. Is he gonna get it? No, gonna decide to burn it down, bringing it down. So going safe here. Still 50,000 point lead for Andy. We just now reached level 36. Things are looking absolutely insane right now. Andy now just trying to bring the stack down back into a safety measure. Can we be, overshoots. Andy's in trouble and Andy's gonna top it at 1.2. Okay, Huff needs to chase down 1.201 essentially. B70 over here for Huff. Let's see what he decides to do. Nice skims, just gonna take it one burn at a time. Huff, real clean here. Just only needs a couple more lines. We are at level 39. Just calm and collected here. And that's gonna do it. Huff takes game number 1 with a chase down. Absolutely tremendous. Number 2 in 3, 2, 1, Tetris. What an amazing game. Both players went into level 29 with relatively high scores. Huff was sub-max and was able to get a 1.2 out of it, completing the chase down. Andy has some really impressive Tetris setups. Speaking of impressive Tetris setups, we could potentially have one developing right now. Well, not necessarily impressive, but definitely interesting. And unfortunately, eyepiece comes a tad bit later than Andy would like. Huff is going to be able to score the first Tetris of the game. Andy. Both players, pretty comfortable position here. Huff is going to be in the lead by 1 Tetris, is able to capitalize early on, while Andy had some minor correcting to do. Huff now with a long bar dependency on the left-hand side. He's going to opt to fill it in first. This is going to allow Andy the opportunity to gain a small lead. However, these pieces aren't necessarily friendly to either player. As a matter of fact, Andy having to do a little bit more burning here. Oh, perfect L piece, beautiful double. The well is open, and both players going to knock down a Tetris. Andy is still going to hold on to the 1 Tetris lead here. 152 to now 132. Are pretty comfortable. Definitely was a little bit of unfavorable pieces, couple hiccups here and there, but for our opener, we are actually even, separated by, it looks like a single. So it looks like 2 single separation over here. Both players can knock down a Tetris, really clean boards, and he's going to take a single into a Tetris. Huff not able to use that eyepiece for a Tetris. We saw in the previous game, Andy had a more powerful level 18 transition than Huff. But the way things are looking or developing in this game, we're looking to be more or less at the same capacity. And there it is, Tetris for Huff right there. Keeping things nice and clean and alive. 274 to now 271. Tricky pieces over here for Andy. This gives Huff an opportunity. Unfortunately, Huff having to deal with the same pieces just in a different way. And the drought continues. Huff finally able to get the eyepiece, knock down Tetris. 307 and out, 320. And he has kind of fallen behind in lines a bit. So Huff is going to be ahead by 4 lines, which is a full Tetris worth. But regardless, we are looking at a missed drop over there for Andy. In terms of transition scores, though, we are looking at a couple of mid-500s. I don't think we'll be seeing a 600K transition. So far, Andy actually going to go for a row 3, and the eyepiece comes sooner rather than later. That would have been a beautiful well transfer. But it looks like right now we are running into yet again another drought. Huff is able to knock down a Tetris, and Andy follows suit. 421 to now 402. 30 lines left to the transition. Beautiful T-spin into a tuck right there for Andy. And Andy gonna avoid actually placing the eyepiece on column 9. And I like that. It's a very disciplined way to attack that particular situation. But we're nearing the transition. Andy now rocking a row 1, column 3. Huff, on the other hand, rocking the traditional column 10. We will transition the next 10 lines. And oh, beautiful overhangs right there. Over there by Andy. But oh, long bar comes a tad bit too late. And he's able to knock down a Tetris, can try and grab one more. Huff, on the other hand, both players actually can try and grab one more. And he's going to transition at 527. Huff, on the other hand, will transition at 543. Able to hold out for that long bar, knock down a quick Tetris on level 19, but wow, what a very unfriendly S-piece right there. Could try and go for row 2 to compensate, or could just burn down. Right now, Andy holding out for the long bar here, waiting for it, forced to take a triple into a Tetris. 586 now 575. Another Tetris for Andy. Huff follows suit. Both players now almost in sync with each other, arguably. 601 to now 613. Andy with the slight advantage. Huff able to get the tuck into a Tetris. Andy, beautiful elevated burn right there. Both players clean, Tetris ready. And nice flat T-burn as opposed to going for the tuck to have a place for the O. Incredible cerebral placements from Andy. However, Huff is also just playing phenomenal here. And he's able to knock down a Tetris, create some separation. Huff not able to utilize long bar, but beautiful Corian adjustment right there for Huff into a Tetris. Great recognition right there. 698 to now 693. Huff now knocks down another Tetris, goes up to 722. We're separated only by half a Tetris here. All it takes is for one missed drop to change the tide of this game here. Andy forced to go for a couple of burns. Love to get a J piece or an I piece. That's going to work as well. But now needs some piece to burn off to compensate. Andy now Tetris ready, down by 40,000 points. And this is a solidified lead for Huff now. Not necessarily solidified, but a true lead as Andy knocks down a Tetris, goes up to 776. Huff knocks down a Tetris, goes up to 814. We are nearing 29. This is getting absolutely insane. Tetris for both Andy and Huff. 810 to 848. Only separated by one Tetris worth. Andy holds out for just the right pieces, fills in the board meticulously. Both players waiting for the long bar, and slight misdrop for Andy. It's not going to be a problem in terms of his survival, though. 854 to now 890. Andy, nice, trying to clean this up here. But it's now falling behind by almost 100,000 points. So it is going to have some 29 play at hand. There it is, Tetris, 894 to now 956. Nice tuck here. Huff actually running into some problems, and this is actually giving Andy an opportunity to catch back up. However, there's no long bar in sight. There it is, Tetris for Andy. Andy now has closed the gap to 1 Tetris. Both players are at the same line count, but Huff is not in the cleanest of positions. Andy knocks down a Tetris, goes up to now 970, and oh, that left side for Huff. This is gonna be an insanely high dig. Andy has a chance to equalize the match here. Andy goes to 29 at around 970. What can Huff do here? Oh, not able to get that square all the way over. And that's it. Huff is going to top it at 979. Andy at 982 is good. And we are tied 1-1. Good. All right, here we go. Game number 3 in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. We are now tied 1 heart apiece. Very decisive game 3. It's going to determine which player has match point and which player has to play from behind. And already both players having to deal with a incredibly rough sequence here. Huff now having to do some burns. So Andy does have an opportunity, except for Andy's now also long bar dependent. Very uncomfortable pieces here in the beginning. But both players are able to knock down around 2 Tetrises so far here in the opener. And Huff actually can decide to maintain this position from a row 2. It's not too terribly more aggressive than row 1. It allows Huff to to prevent Andy from building any real lead here in the beginning. So far, things are pretty calm. Couple of tricky pieces. Andy in need of a J piece. Huff able to knock down a Tetris. Andy just shy of being Tetris ready. And Huff actually has an opportunity to clean out perfectly. Andy had to forego using 2 long bars to score Tetrises. And now we are almost about even, 150 to 155. Beautiful adjustment over there for Andy. Level of Tetris for Huff. And now Huff has an opportunity to either go for column 8, column 9. It looks like a column 9 is the goal here, and I actually personally like column 9. Gives you an opportunity to cleanly transfer to column 10. If you have things in column 10 set up the right way, column 9 well transfers are a little bit more seamless, if you ask me. Anyways, 202 to now 218. Both players just really comfortable here. Andy able to build up around a 1 Tetris lead. We're seeing a lot of overhangs. I mean, we've actually seen a lot of overhangs in this set in particular. And that's also another thing I want to highlight. A lot of the overhangs that are being set up are both just incredibly smart. You have to kind of do these kind of things in order to weather these really complex piece sequences that both of these players are getting right now. And I believe that Andy and Huff have shown a phenomenal ability to handle said rough pieces. Andy able to knock down a Tetris, but is going to have to do a minor amount of burning. And oh, I kind of like the way that Andy decided to approach this. Fortunately, RNG did not like it, and it's going to cost Andy some more burn lines, allowing Huff to solidify a lead despite being slightly ahead in lines. 322 to now 346. We are around the 2/3 mark through the pre-transition. We're looking at a couple of 500K transitions. And tricky situation developing over here for Huff. Both players actually not an ideal situation, and this drought is not helping. Andy able to throw that O piece all the way over, kind of give him a little bit more time, and just bring the stack down. At that point, that's the best that you can really do. How long is this drought? This is getting in very uncomfortable territories. Huff is cleaned up. Andy not quite. There it is. Tetris for Huff. Andy not able to capitalize. But man, that was really unfavorable drought. Well, it's already hot enough here in Texas. We don't need RNG droughting us too. 353 to now 387. Well, players are at 111 lines. Andy finally able to get this Tetris that was in the center. Or no, that was a triple actually. Andy now able to burn all the way down to the bottom. But we are nearing the transition. Nice adjustment. There's Tetris for Andy. We have one more Tetris available for Andy, and soon we'll have one more Tetris available for Huff. However, Andy's going to transition at 432. Huff is going to transition at 410. Separated by one Tetris that transition. Andy with the cleaner board, though. Oh my gosh. Huff in a dangerous situation here. Able to get good pieces. Nice, able to survive. Still not out of it yet. But players go to level 20. Andy not really scoring too many Tetrises in particular, but that's not necessarily Andy's fault. RNG's been kind of nasty this game. But Huff is going to survive, knock down a Tetris. It goes up to 454. Andy, however, at 494. Able to knock down a quick Tetris and gets caught up in line. So there you have it, around a 70,000 point lead for Andy. There's another now another Tetris for Andy. Hung the eyepiece, but fortunately another one came afterwards. And he's gonna set up a delay burn. This one not necessarily, it's actually a pretty good in terms to deal with the rough piece sequences. And speaking about something being rough, Huff not able to get the eyepiece over, tops it at 464. Andy is good for game number 3. All right, here we go. Game number 4 in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. So here we go. Game number 4. Huff has to win this in order to bring us to a decider. Andy has to win this to go into the finals. In our Waco qual, the previous Texas qual, Andy was taken out at the semifinals by Doge. Of course, this is a different tournament and even more stacked than the one in Waco. So if Andy is able to win this, go to the finals and have to play the winner of Fractal and Dog, which means we could get another rematch. I feel like we're going to get a rematch regardless. But we could get another sibling rematch. Who knows? But there's one thing I do know. Andy is going to have to do a little bit of burning. At this point, I'd vote for a completely random seed. Just RNG just being a little bit unkind here. However, handling it well. Accidental double rotate over there for Andy. Huff is going to knock down a Tetris. Off to a great start here. Andy going to survive. Knocks down a Tetris. Love to get a couple of pieces here. S-piece would be perfect. $108 to now 164. And he's gotten the board under control. Love to get, actually gonna set up for a Tetris here. So would love to get an eyepiece. Unfortunately, eyepiece kind of lacks the daisical showing up. 115 to 187. Tetris for Huff. So far, things are pretty calm. A lot of eyepieces right there, and he couldn't use any of them for a Tetris, but did help give Andy an opportunity to get out of this a little bit quicker. Andy actually set up for a dirty Tetris. And is committing to this, but the long bar is just not coming for Andy. And for Huff as well. Oh my gosh. Andy's actually in a little bit of trouble. Eyepiece couldn't use it. Now needs to... Okay, gonna go for the flat L burn. Trying to find a way to just bring the stack down. Navigate through a beautiful flat I burn. Nice skim so far. Needs to get a piece over to the right. Okay, nice burns. That is going to be... Oh, Andy's still having to try and get out of this. And that's gonna be it. Not... No, it's not gonna happen. Andy tops at 159. We are going to a decider here. All right, here we go. Let's count them down to the decider for our semifinals matchup here on this side of the bracket. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. So here we go. The decider. Winner of this will go to play the winner of the other semifinals bracket. And we got a pretty interesting difference of openers. We saw that Huff has decided to take more vertical space early on, while Andy went for more horizontal space. Doesn't look like it's impacting things too much. Both players are going to be able to get ready for a Tetris cleanly, but Huff was not able to utilize one of those long bars for a Tetris. So Andy's going to take a slightly early lead. It is way too early to determine anything. As of right now, there's Tetris for Andy. Tetris for Huff. All right. 138 to now 98,000. So far, really clean boards here. Looks like we were running into our first major trial here, waiting on this long bar. And we are certainly waiting for it. This is what we get for hosting a qual in Texas during a heat wave. Okay, now this is ridiculous. Where is the long bar? What is going on? Both players are in a pretty comfortable position. Huff, couldn't use the long bar for anything there. And Andy finally could. There it is, Tetris for Andy. Man, RNG just really tough here today. Just a massive drought. But it honestly didn't feel like either player was really feeling the heat of it. Both players seemed to be pretty calm and collected. Just Huff towards the end just was unable to really capitalize. If anything, this set will be known as the droughted set of Tetris. It feels like we're just constantly just waiting on the long bar. It's 296 and now 238. Andy with a advantage here by around 50,000 points. Things are really clean here. far, things are looking pretty good. We are looking at a very high 500K transition from Andy. Huff, we are currently looking at a mid 500. Andy makes the adjustment for the Tetris and actually gets some good pieces to help fill in. And as of right now, there really hasn't been any real lead or real deficit changes. Both players have just been stacking so incredibly clean that they are matching each other Tetris for Tetris. 422 to now 459. You got around 25 lines left, give or take a few, for both Huff and Andy here until the transition. Andy definitely keeping the advantage here. 460. All right, there it is. Tetris for Andy. .506 to now 469. Huff not quite able to use that eyepiece to score Tetris. Andy able to kind of capitalize slightly. 558 to now 495. We have 2 Tetrises left for both players here until level 19. There it is. Tetris 517. Andy now at 581. We are looking at a 600K transition if Andy's able to knock down another Tetris. And there it is. Andy transitions at 605,000. Huff transitions at 543, knocks down a quick Tetris on level 19. Andy not able to use 2 long bars for a Tetris there, but can use the third one. So Huff down by around 70,000 points. This is getting serious. There it is. Tetris over there for Huff. Holding out for the right piece. Another Tetris for Andy. Huff now starting to gain some ground. Andy now only ahead by 10,000 points. Huff just needs a J piece. All right, J piece gonna help immensely there. Avoiding creating the eyepiece dependency. Absolutely smart placement right there. There it is, Tetris for Huff. 678 to now 688. Andy knocks down Tetris, goes up to 714, trying to keep them separated by 1 Tetris or more. Nice little overhang over there by Andy, but this is starting to get a little bit tricky. Eyepiece comes, does an L piece come soon? There it is. And able to get the tuck. Huff only down by 10,000 points. Huff is just right at Andy's tail, not giving Andy any room to gain an advantage. There it is, 801 to now 763. Nice Tetris ready over here for Andy. Huff knocks down a Tetris, has a hold that he has to deal with. Andy, Tetris ready, knocks down a Tetris as well. 830 to now 794. There's now starting to be a slight amount of separation as now Huff is actually having to do some burning here. And oh my gosh, Huff is going for it. He's going for it, but is the long bar gonna come? We've been experiencing droughts all day. He needs the long bar and he needs it now. And there it is, dirty Tetris for Huff. Not gonna go for another one, just gonna bring the stack down. And a plethora of long bars follow. Andy, however, now up to a 60,000 point lead. 900,000 almost even, and now 840. Huff still trying to work his way down. Has not been able to score Tetris for the past 2 levels. All right, Huff is gonna be able to clean this up. Could try and go for a row 3. It might have to. Andy now almost up to a 100,000 point lead. Just really clean 19. There it is. Huff is now perfectly clean. Andy with a 100,000 point lead. Both players level 26. Andy knocks down another Tetris to go with a max out here on 26. We're looking at a very high game going into level 29. Andy's setting up for a center well. Huff knocks down a Tetris, and he continues to elevate the center well. And then there it is, Tetris for Andy. Not gonna opt to burn out. Huff now 3 Tetrises away from the max. Andy 2 Tetrises away from a 1.1. Huff now fighting for this long bar here. Nice burn into a Tetris. Huff can try and grab 2 more here before level 29. Andy fighting for a long bar, and there it is, Tetris for Andy. Looking real tricky. Huff only has 2 lines left to burn. He can do it with Tetris, but no, he's gonna do it with triple. Able to get the long bar over, just barely knocking down that Tetris. However, he's having to do some down stacking up a little bit high. All right, there it is. Huff now down by 100,000 points. Andy goes into level 29 with a 1.1. A couple of misdrops from Huff. He needs the eyepiece. Eyepiece would help right now. Where's the eyepiece? Eyepiece doesn't come, and Huff tops out at 1,006,000. Andy advances to the finals.